Hello everyone, very warm welcome to your favorite channel, that is StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Praveen Mishra, and today we are going to pay tribute from the core of our hearts from the team of StudyIQ to the great personality that is B.R. Ambedkar. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, right? Born 14th of April 1891 in a small village, a very small locality of Mao, that is presently in the region or the state of Madhya Pradesh. Well, it's the date where Indians, not only India, not only Indians, but specifically the people throughout the globe, those who are suppressed, they got a name. They got a representative who had the guts, who had the audacity, who had got the courage to speak for the voices of those who are considered suppressed, of the voices of those who are considered weak or not into the mainstream society. Yes, it's B.R. Ambedkar, no doubt in that. Well, there's a very wonderful quote that I would like to mention here before proceeding. That heroes, they're not born. Heroes, they are made. Made out of the circumstances they had faced. Made out of the atrocities they had faced. Made out of all those unethical do's, unethical actions that they have faced. And one such hero is what in front of us is, yes, it's Bhimrao Ambedkar, right? So just paying tribute and quoting, starting the session with the most relevant quote of Ambedkar Sahab today, right? On 25th of November 1949, while he was delivering the speech inside the Constituent Assembly, being the chairperson there, or being actually the chairperson of the drafting committee and one of the main architects of the constitution, he was someone whose quotes are relevant in each and every segment of the society. And this one, what we are going to discuss, is what the reality of the 21st century India, right? So what he has stated, however, his quote comes in, however good a constitution may be, if those who are implementing it are not good, it will prove to be a bad. However the good a constitution is, will doesn't make any difference until and unless those who are implementing it, those who are executing it are good. Until and unless it will not provide any support to the nation. This is what P.R. Ambedkar has stated. And we need not state it further that after the execution of the constitution, or after the constitution has been implemented, if we leave the early few decades or somewhere around to the 1980s or 90s of the time, since then till date in the 21st century, we are watching that, yes, how the constitution implementing agencies, they have been kept under the bar of the questions n number of times when it comes to providing the legitimacy and the authority of the acts, or apart from that, the validity and the verification of the key features of the so-called or aforesaid actions that the authorities have taken, right? So this is where Baba Sahab has quoted, and even a year before the constitution was implemented, or not year before, sorry, even 2 months before of the implementation of the constitution, right? That is specifically 25th of November 1949, right? And it's still prevalent. The relevancy of the quote is still prevalent. So this tells us actually the foresightedness and the wisdom Ambedkar Sahab possessed, right? He's often termed as modern Manu. He's often termed as the Baba Sahib. But you know what? The most interesting part of these names are, you can just go and search over the internet. Who called B.R. Ambedkar as Baba Sahib? Yeah, who called B.R. Ambedkar as the modern Manu? You won't find a specific answer. You can go and ask AI, you can go and ask over the Google or anyone else. Okay, you won't find the specific name. As why? Because he was a type of a leader who lived in the hearts of the masses, right? His voice was the voice of millions of people. And the millions of people's voices, they were inspired by one single personality. And millions of people, they gave him this name, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, right? Or modern Manu, right? So this is how a good leader is. This is what a good leader is. He studied at the University of Columbia, and he was too much inspired and influenced by the then very famous political philosopher. His name was John Dewey, under whom he studied. And apart from that, his ideas on democracy and pragmatism shaped the approach of B.R. Ambedkar when it comes to the social reform segment in India, right? So basically, his political guru, his political mentor, or even if it is correct here to state, that is social reform mentor of B.R. Ambedkar Sahab, it was none other than his own professor, his own mentor or guru, that is John Dewey, right? Further, Ambedkar Sahab was also someone who was very keen for research and reading the ideologies and the philosophies of the greatest philosophers of the time. So starting from the liberal thinkers, that is from Karl Marx, right, to, you can go ahead in the ages from Epicurus to Plato to Aristotle to Rousseau, in the modern ages coming back. He studied each one of them in the most detailed manner, and his actions, his speeches, his all of the drafting thing inside the constitution represents his in-depth analysis of the theories, thinkers, and yes, the events that have happened globally, that have shaped the evolution of the human society, an evolution that is spiced with equality, an evolution that is once again, added up with utmost amount of taste, of harmony, and yes, an evolution that is having a wall of defense against any sort of discrimination, right? So he studied all of those things in detail, and hence he started to act in Indian politics and be the voice of the millions of those people, those who never had any say, neither in the society, and when not even in society, then how can we even expect politics, right? So the biggest contention was, Ambedkar's biggest contention was with Gandhiji. Majority of the people would be of the opinion that itna bhi koi bada dispute nahi tha. Yeah, yes, there were contentions, but not that big as it has been represented these days. Well, that's fine enough task. Well, a fine enough statement, no doubt in that. But still, there exists some facts. The biggest one was Gandhiji's terms, or the references he had for those who were suppressed or depressed at that time. So Gandhiji used the term Harijan for mentioning those people, those who are coming from the lower caste inside the Hindu society. Okay, that was Gandhiji's opinion, for which strong confrontation, strong opposition came from the strongest personality here. What's the name? B.R. Ambedkar. He said, no, why do you call us Harijan? Why do you want to, make it a more patriarchal thing or paternalistic thing, or, patronizing it in a very different sense? No, let us be what we are. Just remove this concept of inequality and discrimination, that untouchability element, the most pathetic and nonsense thing ever that could have been introduced inside the civil society, ever that can have, right? The most pathetic and nonsense thing, that is untouchability. So this is where Ambedkar Sahab came forward. That no, we are not Harijan. If you want to mention it, if you want to mention us, okay, you can mention us as Dalits, right? And personally speaking, this is my personal opinion. I even hate the word Harijan. I even hate the word Dalit. I hate Dalit. Literally, I do hate. No, I'm not talking about an individual or a community. I'm talking about the phrase. Why do I need to quote someone as Dalit? No, I won't. I will quote you as human. I will quote you as Indian. I will quote you as my brother, as my sister, right? And I will just remove this blockade, remove this barricade, remove this wall of social differences, disintegration, segregation, or stratification. No, absolutely nonsense. If I'm following Ambedkar, if I'm following his principles, if I'm following his thoughts, then I will neither mention any second person as general, backward class, weaker section, depressed, scheduled, Harijan, Dalit. No. For me, I am human, and for me, you are human. For me, I am Indian, and for me, you are Indian. Okay? We just need to eliminate this. This is what Ambedkar Sahab's vision is. This is what Baba Sahib's vision has been always. Unfortunately, still 75 years later, or 78 years later, actually, of independence, we are unable to implement the philosophies and the policies that are badly needed for the society given by, yes, Baba Sahib, even till today. And you know what the problem is? The problem is not from just those who are discriminating. And yes, I'm sorry to say, the problem is also from the other side, that is the one who is getting discriminated, right? Maybe even I do not possess that spark to upgrade myself still today. And this is a question to me, my community, if I am a Dalit, right? This is my question to myself, to my community as well, that even 75 years later, yes, there are problems from the other sides. I'm not saying the other side is all good. No. But yes, before pointing out the finger on the other side, let me ask question to I, me, myself, my community, my people, my friends, my family, my kin, that are we right enough as well? Are we trying our best to upgrade ourselves as what Baba Sahib has had a vision for ourselves? Are we doing this for ourselves? Are we trying to make our community strong? Are we trying to make our nation strong and, come to the mainstream society where we need not any sort of reservation, where we need not any sort of this equality concept, as equality will be there in the minds, in the hearts, in the soul of each and every individual? Are we doing this? So this is the first question that, as a Dalit, as someone from scheduled caste or a tribe community as well, I must ask this to myself. If in case I have the answer yes, then that's fine. Then I must now move to the other side of the problem. But in case my answer is no, then the first and the foremost thing, what I must do is, yes, read this guy carefully, understand his philosophies and policies carefully, and then upgrade myself. And after that, I must be pointing the question on the other segments of the society. That now, tell me, I'm good, strong, fine, fantastic from my end. What about you? Are you the same as well? Are you going to follow the great personality, the Baba Sahib, as well? If yes, then perfect. If no, then please explain me why. What's stopping you? Right? So, this is what, okay, he has stated that please, we are not Harijan. And this is what we must also quote. Yes, Baba Sahib, you gave us the term Dalit, but it's not even the time now to be Dalits as well. It's now the time that to be the society only, the Indian society, the absolute integrated, equality filled, harmony updated Indian society, right? So many argue, see the people's argument, that he was more of a social democrat than a political nationalist. Okay, means like this is the argument by the people, including the name a name which we will be discussing at the end of the session. Okay, so many argue that he was more of a social democrat than a political nationalist, believing that the social justice were a precondition onto real freedom. And the answer lies here. Even if you believe that he was more of a social democrat than a political nationalist, then also answer is here. As because for Baba Sahib, the precondition, okay, a prerequisite of being a socialist or of being a nationalist was to have the social justice system first. So before having that nationalism element, I must be having a united nation, a nation that is free from any stratification, right? And for that, he said, okay, that political nationalism, okay, it comes with a prerequisite, a precondition. And what is that? That is social justice. Okay, so social justice was a precondition, what? To real freedom. This is what, once again, modern Manu or the Baba Sahib had stated, right? So when it comes to these two names, how much contentions they do have. Okay, so it's about Ambedkar versus Gandhi. Okay. Yes, there have been end number of incidences where the two have been, witnessed arguing. Yes, arguing as in not like in a very nonsense way or in a bad way. No, arguing in a very healthy manner, talking about facts and figures. Argument that is based on the standards of awareness and yes, filled with intellectuality. As we know, these were the two people, one of the most intellectual people of the Indian freedom struggle of the time, right? And the argument between the two intellectuals is always the most healthy one for any society. But yeah, some of the incidences that we must know. Okay, Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar, right? Baba Sahib. When the first roundtable conference was happening in London, 1930, Ambedkar was one of those Indians who was invited by the British along with Gandhi, right? See, means I'm not trying to represent Gandhi as a bigger figure and Ambedkar as the inferior one. No, but still the fact is Gandhi was a more supreme and a more senior leader as compared to Ambedkar, right? So when you can now just understand the fact that a senior supreme leader of this nation who is loved by the masses nationally, okay, he has been invited, and along with him another leader who has just became a popular figure was also invited by the British on a personal note, right? The British Parliament sent the invitation, one to Gandhi along with other national leaders obviously, but yes, there was also another name, B.R. Ambedkar, who gained the name, who gained the fame, who gained the popularity in a very, just a blip, a very short span of time. And what's the reason is? What's the basic reason is? It took Gandhi a good amount of time to get that name and fame. But for Ambedkar, it was a matter of some couple of years, what we can call it. Reason is what? He was raising his voice. He was representing the audacity, courage, and guts onto those points for which people often feared. Okay, no, we are not going to talk on this point. But it was Ambedkar Sahab who came forward. Why are you not going to raise question over this point? It is needed, and let's raise. And he just didn't raise the question. He led the masses as well. He led the Satyagraha movements as well, from temple entry movement to Mahat Satyagraha. That is what we are going to discuss in just next couple of slides, right? So the Gandhi, coming back to the point here, roundtable conference. Though Gandhi didn't went into the first roundtable conference, it was Ambedkar alone who was there sitting with the British at the roundtable conference in England, right? So what was the problem? Why Gandhiji denied going to England at that time? Was it any problem with British, or was it with regard to any problem with the Ambedkar's presence? Though it's still an unknown fact in history, so it remains unknown because now none of them are here with us in this world, right? Okay, so Gandhi did not attend, okay, but he went to attend the second RTC, second roundtable conference, right? But unfortunately, they should have been there into the first one, but Gandhiji denied the participation, and hence Ambedkar Sahab was there all alone, right? So when you talk about the next contention, okay, the next issue, so it is here. Ambedkar demanded separate electorate for Dalits, that is depressed classes, to ensure independent political representation, whereas this was opposed by Gandhi. Gandhi opposed this fiercely, as in immediately, simply arguing it would divide the Hindu community and weaken the national movement. So this is what the statement from Gandhi came, that no, we're not going to have a separate electorate, okay, as it would divide the Hindu community and ultimately it will weaken the national movement, okay, for which Gandhi quoted as well. I do not believe, see, this is the quote, this is the statement from Gandhiji, right? I do not believe that the caste Hindus will be guilty of the insane folly of the standing between the untouchables and redress. But to create a separate electorate is to sterilize the community. So Gandhiji stated that I do not believe there will be issues between the caste Hindus, okay, on standing together or having a proper political setup. Okay. But if we do this, it will for sure sterilize and weaken the national unity or the integrity of the community. For which, in order to counter, Ambedkar Sahab gave another quote, another statement. And what is that? The depressed classes are not part of the Hindu society. They are the outcasts in a literal sense. To quote Gandhiji's statement that the separate electorate might weaken or sterilize the unity and integrity concept of the Hindus. To answer this, Ambedkar Sahab quoted, "No, sir. No, Gandhiji. I think you are mistaken here. Dalits, they're not part of the Hindu community. They are the outcasters, those who have been outcasted in literal sense." Well, personally speaking, I see Hindus as Hindus only. Hindus specifically, not talking about any other religion. Okay, not talking about Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity. No. Okay, just talking about Hinduism here. In my personal opinion, I see Hindus as Hindus only. But yes, at that time, what Ambedkar Sahab has stated, it was bit something out of the blues. And he stated this only because the experiences he had. The experiences he had in his early childhood, in his adolescent days, in his teenage days, and when he grew as an adult, the experiences he had was devastating. And I'm really ashamed of what Ambedkar Sahab has faced because of the social stigmas, right? And that compelled the great Ambedkar, the Baba Sahib, to quote this. But yes, ultimately it's time for us to make ourselves united. Not just Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Christian, Buddha, Jain, Parsis, Zoroastrians, whatsoever. It's time for us to create a unified and integrated India, right? Unity from the emotional perspective, integrity from the geographical perspective. And then only we will be able to call ourselves as sovereign, socialist, democratic republic, as he only mentioned when the preamble was getting finalized, right? Though yes, there were many words at that time which were not present in the preamble, but still the essence was the same, right? So the next contention, here we have on reform versus annihilation, approach to caste, that is whether we should have the reform in the caste system or we should annihilate or remove the caste system. Gandhiji, he was advocating the reforms in Hinduism. He defended Varna system, though not the Jati system, but he defended the Varna system according to the words and writings of Gandhiji. He defended the Varna system, not Jati. It is mentioned here as well, not Jati, but yes, he defended the Varna, right? Okay, and he believed that Brahmanism was reformable, okay, and that the caste would fade with time. This is what Gandhiji's opinion was, that yes, I believe in Varna system, not in Jati system to be specific. Yes, and yes, there are issues with regard to the upper caste Hindus, and it's reformable. It's absolutely reformable. It is, we are having a remedy for it, having a medicine for it, for the illness of discrimination, for the disease of discrimination, we are having the remedy. This is what Gandhiji's opinion or the view was. Okay, and the caste system would fade with time. This is what he stated, but for which Ambedkar Sahab was having a distinct opinion. What Ambedkar Sahab stated, no, I demand the annihilation of the caste system totally. There should be no Varna, no Jati, nothing. There should be just one, that is India. And that's a perfect statement, right? So he demanded what? Annihilation of caste altogether, as expressed in his fiery, undelivered speech, unfortunately, while he was delivering it in the year 1936, quoted as the annihilation of the caste system, right? He called the caste system inherently hierarchical and violent. And apart from that, it was not having any kind of capability of reform. And further, he said that caste is not just a division of labor, it is the division of laborers. If you are able to decode the quote, you are okay, got it. But in case you are not, don't worry. Let's decode it. What Ambedkar Sahab has stated, right, in a fiery speech in the annihilation of caste. Caste is not just division of labor. No. It's a division of laborers. Labor is the policy, right? Laborers, they are the ones those who are implementing. So caste, according to him, it is not division of labor. It is the division of laborers, that these are the castes, these are the communities only, those who will be doing this labor, this labor, that labor, etc. Right? So this is what is still prevalent. Still, there are people, those who are called to perform a specific type of duty, right? What he has stated around a century back is still prevalent. That represents his wisdom and foresightedness again, right? So once again, the very wonderful quote, my favorite one here, I will say, caste is not just a division of labor, it is the division of what? Laborers. And absolutely genuine fact it is. Still prevalent, and I don't know how much more time it will be prevalent. So next thing that what we are watching, an image of Baba Saheb leading a particular crowd, right? This is what? This is Mahad Satyagraha. Okay? A Satyagraha that is named as Mahad. So what we have, the features here. The Mahad Satyagraha, also known as Chavdar Tale, that is Lake Satyagraha, okay, was led by B.R. Ambedkar on 20th March 1927 in Mahad, that is in the Raigad district of Maharashtra. What was the aim? The aim was to assert the right of untouchables to use water from a public tank. And no wonder. Article 15, right against discrimination. Why the Constituent Assembly, the Constitution framers, the makers of the Constitution, they needed to mention this under Article 15, that no person shall be denied access to bathing ghats, wells, water reservoirs, public places, marketplaces, etc. What was the need to mention this? The need came from, yes, once again, the experiences they had in the then time of India, right? And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, we still have those experiences in the modern India. We had it the then time, we have it even till today, right? So Mahad Satyagraha on 20th of March 1927, okay, it was led by, yes, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, where? In the Mahad region of Raigad district, Maharashtra. So also known as what? Also known as Chavdar Tale Satyagraha. Tale as in Marathi, it is lake. Okay, where it is aimed at? Aimed to assert the right of untouchables, that is the depressed or the Dalits, to use water from the public tank, right? So, what are the features? Untouchables or the Dalits, they were segregated in the Indian society, totally banned from using public water bodies and roads used by other Hindus, right? So in August 1923, in order to eliminate such thing, Bombay Legislative Council passed a resolution allowing depressed classes to use government-maintained places, but it faced opposition from the other Savarna Hindus, right? Legislative Assembly tried, but because of the orthodox mindset we had at that time, okay, this was opposed violently, right? Further, what we can see, in January 1924, Mahad passed a resolution in its municipal council to enforce the act. Means like legislative council and the local government was trying, but they failed to implement it. Why? Due to utmost amount of protests by the upper caste people, right? So it was something which was dangerous. Bombay Legislative Council has did that, right? Mahad Municipal Corporation had did that, but it faced opposition. By whom? By upper caste people. That is, no, we can't let this happen, right? It's unfair. Point is, your protest was unfair, right? So, in order to overcome this, on 27th of June 1927, Dr. Ambedkar and his followers, they marched, okay, the Amba Devi Mandir the Amba Devi Mandir, okay. They knew it very well, right, that now the Chavdar Tale and the other places, now we are not allowed, right, literally we are not allowed. So now it's time for us to raise voices, right? So next thing that is here, that is Amba Devi Mandir Satyagraha. So on 27th of June 1927, Dr. Ambedkar and his followers marched on Amba Devi temple in Amravati to gain access to the religious premise. Despite their efforts, they were unsuccessful as upper caste opposed their entry. So one Mahat Satyagraha, okay, there they failed as well. And then following this, the next one, that is in the year 1927, okay, just a couple of months later, Amba Devi Mandir, they also failed there. But the point is, Ambedkar's fierce action, his guts, courage to raise voices against those things for which people feared a lot, on which people feared the most, made him the voice of the millions, right? So from Mahat Satyagraha to Amba Devi Mandir Satyagraha, and yes, we have got another one, that is Parvati Satyagraha. So in 1929, Dr. Ambedkar initiated a protest for Dalits' entry to the Parvati temple located on the Parvati Tekadi hill near Pune. The temple was built by the Peshwas of the time and was only open to the upper castes for centuries, for which he resisted, and despite letters to the temple's body, entry to the Dalits was denied again. So the temple entry movement from Parvati Satyagraha to Amba Devi, and apart from that, yes, the Mahat Lake, okay, the Mahat Lake or the Tal Satyagraha was one of the biggest events that made Ambedkar as Baba Saheb Ambedkar, right? Yes, he failed. No doubt, he failed. Unfortunately, yes. A shameful thing for us. But the fact is, his initiatives, his courage, his guts, his audacity provided him the status or the tag of the leaders of Dalit, or the leader of Dalits, right? The tag or the position of being the voices, of being the voice of the suppressed or the depressed, right? And hence he gained what? The name, that is modern Manu, or yes, Baba Saheb as well, right? So this is what? The initiatives of Ambedkar Sahab. Okay, along with this, we have got the Kalaram temple entry movement. So the Kalaram temple entry, also known as the Nashik Satyagraha, was again a pivotal event in India's Dalit movement, led by Dr. Ambedkar in 1930, demanding the right to Dalits to enter and worship the Kalaram temple in Nashik, right? So he stated, he tried his best. Okay, so from Kalaram to Amba Devi to Mahat to every particular location. But unfortunately, his voices at that time, okay, was not heard by the upper castes. But ultimately, the time came when his voices was heard, when his voices was considered, right? His actions is now something that we are discussing today. His legacy is what something that is we are discussing today. But still there are people, those who have criticized Ambedkar a lot. Their criticism comes on a valid point or not. Their criticism comes on a certain legit applications or not. That is a matter of debate, and that you can decide and let me know into the comment box after you have watched the whole session, right? So one such critique was Arun Shourie, and he wrote a book, Worshipping the False God, right? So he stated what? Ambedkar and the facts which have been erased. This is what the tagline of the book. What is the name of the book? Worshipping False Gods, right? And the theme of the book surrounds with the great name, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, right? So in his criticism and his just writings, what he has mentioned, Ambedkar's role in the freedom struggle was marginal. This is what Arun Shourie has to state. He argues that Ambedkar was not actively involved in the mass movement. Rather than he was more aligned, okay, to the particular community's interests. And I say what's wrong in that. A community needed a representative, a strong, fierce representative, and it was Baba Sahib. Opposition to Gandhi. The book, that is Arun Shourie, the writer, accuses Ambedkar of being a divisive figure who worked against the nationalist cause by siding with the British during the Pune Pact. And he also, during the Quit India movement, admitted the membership of the Viceroy's Executive Council. for which, yes, he was criticized by the Congress as well as the other parties of the time. But that doesn't simply makes him as an opposing agent of Gandhi, right? Or anyone who is not favoring the national movement. If he wouldn't have favoring the national movement, he wouldn't have been inside the Constituent Assembly. Why can't we see this? Right? The very clear-cut fact. Next, constitutional contribution overstated. Well, I don't understand how this is even a fact that has to be represented. Mr. Shourie has stated that Ambedkar's role in the drafting constitution, portraying him more as a chairman executing the collective work of the Constituent Assembly and legal experts rather than the sole father of the constitution. Well, yes, okay, that's the point. It was around 300 people, those who wrote the constitution. It was not Ambedkar's hour alone. But yes, obviously, when I say the 2011 One Day World Cup was won by India, so I take the name, right? It was led by Dhoni, MS Dhoni. I know the man of the tournament was Yuvraj Singh, right? But it was led by MS Dhoni. His leadership skills, his leadership abilities, his caliber as a leader made India a victory. Yes, the contributions were there from the other players as well, no doubt in that. But the leadership matters. And the leadership was then, at that time, 2011 World Cup by MS Dhoni, right? So we take the name MS Dhoni rather than other player's name, right? So in that very same sense, leadership matters, dear Arun sir, right? Arun Shourie sir, if you're listening. Leadership was into the hands of Ambedkar Sahab, as he was the most qualified candidate there. Yes, there were other qualified candidates as well, but his qualification was not just with regard to the degrees he possessed, but also the atrocities he has faced in his childhood to adolescent to teenage days and along the adult days as well, right? So this is where the criticisms they have came. N number of people they have criticized, right? But the fact remains the fact. Baba Saheb remains the hero. He remains the voice of the millions, and he became one of those famous icons of the India's freedom struggle. So, considering or just ending the fact here, that is Baba Saheb. What is the fact? He was the voice of the millions, and apart from that, the voice of the million people. They were raised by the motivation of Baba Saheb only. The two statements that we need to give. He was the voice of the millions, and the voices of the millions was only heard when it was substituted or supported or subordinated by Baba Saheb's voice, right? So guys, with this, I will just rest my voice and end the session here. I hope everything was clear from my side in this session, and yet once again, before ending, tribute and grand salute to Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, that is Baba Saheb Ambedkar, father of the Indian Constitution. Okay, guys. So thank you so much, and tribute to Ambedkar Sahab as well once again. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. Take care. See you soon in the next video. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Bhim.